The majority of males think they know how to touch a lady already. Let me tell you something, though, that may surprise you. In my 30 years of working with couples, I've discovered that practically all men, regardless of their seeming confidence, have been doing it incorrectly. Too abrasive, too quick, and too performance-oriented rather than connection-oriented. In actuality, a lot of women have never experienced genuine touch that causes their hearts to open and their bodies to shiver. And it has nothing to do with men's lack of concern. They were never taught how. I'm Dr. Mohit, a men's health specialist and board-certified urologist. I've been helping thousands of men regain intimacy, vitality, and confidence for more than 30 years, especially as they age. I know what it's like as you become older and your touch doesn't appear to have the same effect on her as it used to. However, that can start to change today. The majority of guys are unaware of this. Strength and speed don't provide the strongest orgasms. They are the result of accuracy and patience. When done properly, even the smallest touch can cause her body to tremble with an unparalleled sense of pleasure. I'll walk you through the process of using your hands to awaken her, not merely stimulate her, in this guide. The best fingering method that produces intense, full-body pleasure will be taught to you. The kind that restores her sense of security, desire, and total connection to you. You'll learn the secret that every man over 60 should be aware of in a matter of minutes if you stay with me, and it will permanently alter the way you interact with women. Make sure you click the subscribe button and activate the notification bell before we start. In this manner, you won't miss another lesson on how to get back in touch with your significant other and rekindle genuine desire after you're 60. If this topic resonates with you, please share your thoughts in the comments section. Type 0 if you think I can explain it more clearly the next time. Your suggestions enable me to help more men like you achieve more satisfying, in-depth intimacy. Now that you know the real purpose of this class, let's start with the first and most often ignored step: getting ready. There's something much more crucial you need to do before you touch anything. Because it depends on how you arrange your hands, she will feel comfortable enough to let go fully. 1. The base. Being prepared is a sign of respect. Your hands must first gain permission to touch her before they can begin to examine her body. Most males make a mistake here. To them, preparation consists solely of cleaning up after oneself. A little rinse, a fleeting idea. However, I'm here to tell you that it goes much beyond that. Being prepared is a thoughtful act, a respectful gesture. You can rely on me, to put it softly. When I was younger, I believed that kissing was the first step in foreplay. I realized that it begins much earlier after years of listening to my patients and my personal experiences. With the way you get ready. Your hands are more than just implements. They are manifestations of what you intend. Every little detail counts. File away the rough edges of your nails and trim them short. Carefully clean underneath them. Use mild, odorless soap and warm water to wash your hands. Gently pat them dry. Take off your jewelry and everything that can irritate her sensitive skin. For a woman, these seemingly insignificant acts have a greater impact than words. Even before you touch her, her body starts to relax when she sees that you've taken this type of care. Because safety is what you're actually saying. And the basis of enjoyment is safety. If a woman does not feel comfortable, she will not be able to fully surrender, regardless of age. The lubricant comes next, not only as a need, but also as an indication of consideration. What might feel mechanical can be transformed into something flowing, sensual, and incredibly comfortable with a basic water-based lubricant. A lot of women in their middle years go dry, due to hormonal changes rather than a loss of desire. You're doing more than simply physical preparation when you instinctively go for that bottle. I understand you, you're saying. I hope you feel comfortable about this. Being prepared isn't a bad thing. It's the most personal way to show respect. She knows this moment is about her comfort, not your ego, because of the subdued preparation. It's the way you create the conditions for rapport, trust, and, in the end, uncomplicated, genuine enjoyment. You can then start the actual work after that trust has been established. Instead of focusing on the obvious, you should learn how to arouse every part of her body, beginning in unexpected places. 2. The actual beginning, awakening her whole body. I discovered this the hard way. Her legs are not where arousal starts. It starts under her skin and between her ears. Most men go directly to the locations we believe are most important, especially as we age. However, after spending years listening to hundreds of women, I realized something quite straightforward. Her whole body is a pleasure map. Additionally, the center comes to life much more if you begin at the periphery. One patient I recall was a man in his 70s who came to me with a sense of helplessness. "My wife no longer responds to me, Doc," he added. "She feels as like she is somewhere else when I touch her." "That's because you're starting in the middle of the story," I explained to him. "It is necessary to begin with the introduction. Touch is not about speed or technique, especially as we become older. The goal is to intentionally activate her nervous system layer by layer. Don't start with the obvious. Touch her shoulder with your lips. Feel her tremble as your fingers slowly move down her back and trace the contours of her spine. Avoid hurrying to the middle. Remain on the periphery, her thighs, her tummy, and her arms. The forgotten gateways are these. Blood flow is increased with each light stroke. Every pause heightens the suspense. You aren't making fun of her. Her body is being taught to feel secure enough to open up again by you. Your voice is also important at this point. Softly whisper something. It's about enjoyment, not desire. You feel fantastic. I adore the way my hands warm your flesh. Safety is created by words. Safety breeds surrender. You've learned to be in charge your entire life as a man. It's time to develop patience now. Her body reacts more when you move more slowly. A woman's arousal is similar to a gradual dawn. It cannot be hurried. However, the light becomes breathtaking if you wait for it. You'll know she's ready for more when you finally feel her body leaning toward you and her breathing getting deeper. Because how quickly you get closer isn't the true secret. How long you're willing to remain still is the key. And you'll discover that they react in quite different ways when you finally get to the locations that really count. And that leads us to the most profound pleasure a woman can give a man. 3. The science of female pleasure. I didn't learn about women's pleasure from a medical textbook or in a clinic until I finally grasped it. It happened while I was speaking with one of my patients. I will never forget what she said when she was in her late 60s and had been married for more than 40 years. "My husband still doesn't comprehend my body, despite his tremendous love for me, doctor." I was struck deeply by that moment, given that she was discussing awareness rather than desire. Few men truly grasp how pleasure functions, but most men believe they know what it looks like for a woman. This is the reality. The clitoris is more than simply a tiny external button. There is a whole internal network that extends far below the surface. It resembles the outwardmost portion of a huge, unseen system that surrounds the vaginal walls and extends into the pelvis. It has twice as many nerve endings than the head of the penis, with over 8,000 total. All of these nerve endings are connected to pathways that provide feelings of emotional safety and pleasure. Because of this, how you touch is just as important as where you touch. Because they believe that's where the magic happens, most men head straight for the center. However, creating waves of sensation from the outside in is the true trick. The outer lips, the inner thighs, the tender flesh immediately beneath the navel. These aren't distractions. They're getting ready. Her brain receives signals from each stroke that tell her it's okay to feel. You may let go now. You begin to see that pleasure isn't arbitrary once you comprehend the science underlying her body. It has a strong biological component. Her body reacts best to progressive increases in blood flow, sequential nerve awakening, and your rhythm's cue to relax. I also tell all the men I work with this. You cannot turn a switch to activate the clitoris. You learn to play the melody. It reacts to patience, rhythm, and consistency, rather than force or pressure. Her body will react to your touch more naturally the more you comprehend that. But it's not enough to know where and how to touch her. How you relate to the one location that has the secret to her greatest pleasure is what really makes a difference. And knowing the clitoral connection is the first step in that process. 4. The clitoral relationship, the center of her climax. Many years ago, I recall a couple in their 60s sitting in my office one evening. As her husband explained that he had been with her for decades and understood what worked, the wife smiled pleasantly. "He's a good man, but sometimes it's just too much," she added softly when I glanced at her. I learned one of the most important lessons about intimacy from that experience. Particularly when it comes to the clitoris, most men are unaware that what feels loving to them might seem overpowering to women. With more than 8,000 nerve endings crammed into a space smaller than a fingertip, the clitoris is the most sensitive part of the female anatomy. It may produce extreme pleasure, but only if handled carefully. Consider it a pulse to read rather than a button to press. It is dynamic, active, and specific to each woman. Direct contact can seem harsh, almost painful, when she isn't completely aroused. Because of this, you have to start with the clitoral hood, which is the area surrounding it. Nature uses this tiny skin fold to shield her most vulnerable area. Gently touch it, make little circles, or apply even, steady pressure as you move side to side. Allow her body to dictate your cadence. Her body is communicating with you when she lets out a deep breath, tilts her hips in your direction, or catches her breath. Don't hurry. Listen. Men's greatest error is assuming that greater strain equates to greater pleasure. Actually, the reverse is true. Instead of force or speed, the clitoris reacts best to consistency and patience. You can slightly increase the pressure once her clitoris has swelled and revealed itself, but never break the beat once she is completely aroused. Remain with her. Align your motion with her respiration. It has nothing to do with technique. Connection is key. Her body will open in ways she may not have experienced in years when she senses your attention and knows that every movement is motivated by kindness. At that point, her enjoyment transcends the surface. It turns into a wave that sweeps over her whole body. Only until you learn to balance what's going inside and what's happening outside will that wave be able to reach its zenith. And the true mystery starts there. 5. The secret technique: internal and external harmony. One of my oldest patients, a man in his late 60s, told me a story I will never forget. "I used to believe that delivering pleasure meant being assertive and aggressive," he said. "But she trembled in my hands as if we had never touched before the night I actually listened to her body and slowed down, because it encapsulated what most men miss throughout their lives." The anecdote stuck with me. Doing more isn't the secret. It's important to work together. When your external and inward touch function in perfect unison, you experience true pleasure. Obtain her consent before proceeding. Asking demonstrates respect, not because you're unsure. Next, constantly lubricate your fingers. This step changes everything, even if she's wet. It's safer, warmer, and smoother. Slide one finger slowly inside her to meet her rather than to fill her. You can feel her warmth as her muscles contract and relax around you. Take your time. Hold on. Take a breath. Give her body time to adapt. Then, as though to say, "Come here," softly curl your fingertip upward toward her belly. A soft, spongy spot on her vagina's front wall is roused by that tiny movement. I like to think of it as her pleasure zone, although many refer to it as the G-spot. Never force or thrust. Instead, move in gentle, tiny arcs. Meanwhile, make slow, steady circles around her clitoris with your thumb or other hand. The full body, shaking orgasm that most women long for but infrequently experience is unlocked by this combination of the external circular touch and the internal "come here" beat. When her hips begin to move independently, her breath gets irregular and she whispers, you'll know you're getting near. Don't change a thing when that occurs. Don't go too fast. Don't alter your beat. What pushes her over the brink is that perfection and that calm. She is shaken by something other than power. It's there. Additionally, don't pull away when her breathing slows and her body eventually softens. It doesn't end there. It's the start of something more profound, because the next task is to learn how to avoid the silent blunders that disrupt this connection before it even starts. Once you have a better understanding of the harmony between the inside and the outside, 6. The intimacy-destroying hidden mistakes. Over the years, I have witnessed decent men, kind, loving husbands, unintentionally ruin the very bond they were attempting to establish. Seldom is it motivated by selfishness. It's just that no one ever warned them about what not to do. The majority of males believe that if a woman doesn't answer, her body is malfunctioning. However, the majority of the time, it's due to minor errors that silently stop her body from experiencing pleasure. The first error is going too quickly. A woman's level of arousal rises gradually. It requires rhythm, time, and space. Her body doesn't have time to adjust when you jump straight from kissing to physical touch. Rather than letting her muscles rest, they stiffen. Rather than opening for sensation, her nerves prepare for collision. She may perceive it as pressure, even though you may believe you are being enthusiastic. Slowing down is essential, both mentally and physically. Show her that you're not rushing to get somewhere. The orgasm usually finds you both on its own when you stop trying to find it. Ignoring her cues is the second error. Women hardly ever say stop. Their bodies do the talking. Her body is telling you that she needs a moment if she starts to move away from you, pauses her breathing, or pulls away a little. Knowing what to do next is not a sign of true skill. It is in knowing when to stop. Losing presence once she finishes is the next error. A lot of men view the climax as the end. They assume the task is done, roll over, and exhale. However, a woman tends to remember the immediate aftermath the most. A gentle stroking across her back, a gentle touch on her hair, and a silent expression of gratitude. These inform her that she was a moment of connection rather than only enjoyment. Something wonderful happens when you fix these errors. Her body once again begins to trust your touch. She feels comfortable opening out, giving up, and letting go fully. However, one more element remains, one fact that distinguishes ordinary couples from exceptional ones. The emotional connection that transforms touch into enduring intimacy and pleasure into love. One man I talked to had been married for 42 years. "Doctor, I still love her as much as the day we met, but I don't think she feels it anymore when I touch her," he remarked, glancing down at his hands. Despite his calm speech, I could hear the pain underneath it. It made me think of what I say to every male who enters my office. Your heart is where true pleasure starts, not your hands. Connection is more important to her than technique. A woman's body responds when she feels emotionally secure. Her nerves awaken, her breathing becomes softer, and her blood flow rises. She feels seen, which makes her more receptive, not because you've mastered a new move. The true secret that most men overlook is that the hands are merely tools. The energy behind your intention is what drives them. Her body will close if you treat her like a task. Her body will respond if you touch her in a conversational manner. Thus, speak with her, with presence, not simply with words. Take a look at her. Pay attention to her breathing. Sync your beat with hers. Don't only consider where your fingers will go when you touch her. Consider what your heart is telling you. Remind her that she is secure, attractive, and wanted by whispering things to her. You feel fantastic. I enjoy having you here. These are not filler words. They serve as a link between the soul and the body. Don't pull away once she gets that shaky, trembling release. Take her in your arms. In your chest, let her dissolve. Love grows in that aftercare, in the calm, energizing silence. It lets her know that she was loved, not just wanted. You deepen the connection that sustains passion even after decades together, every time you give her a sense of security and demonstrate patience rather than coercion. And most men over 60 forget that. She continues returning, but not because of your strength or endurance. It's your heart. Because once you realize how physical touch is transformed by emotional connection, you'll realize that the bedroom is about more than just pleasure. Healing, trust, and learning what true love is all part of it. And before his time runs out, every man should understand that lesson. 8. The art of aftercare, where true intimacy begins. Many men hurry past the calm that follows pleasure, not understanding its potency. Years ago, I worked with an elderly couple that I recall. They had been wed for almost half a century. My spouse said, "I never know what to do next after she's done. "I just wish he'd stay a little longer," his wife added with a gentle grin. My entire perspective on intimacy was altered by that one sentence, because what follows frequently has greater significance than anything that precedes it. Aftercare is a necessary step. It's the experience's culmination. Hormones such as oxytocin, the bonding chemical that gives a woman a sense of security, connection, and love, are released into her body when she climaxes. But that connection dwindles before it can establish itself if you turn your back, draw away too quickly, or end the encounter in silence. The end of the pleasure marks the beginning of true closeness. Thus, remain. Take your time going to the restroom. Avoid rolling over. Keep your phone away. Simply breathe alongside her. Feel her heartbeat slowly beneath your palm as you place your hand on her chest. Say something straightforward or honest like, "You were amazing," or "I love this feeling with you." These experiences provide her with emotional stability and reaffirm that the event was significant even though it wasn't physical. Let the warmth between you linger as you stroke her hair and make lazy circles along her back. Give her a gentle kiss on the forehead and a glass of water. What you don't stop doing is more important than what you do. When she closes her eyes and thinks of you hours later, she will remember that quiet tenderness. And ask her one kind question if you truly want to strengthen that connection. What about tonight appealed to you the most? She is invited to open up, tell you the truth, and teach you how to win her approval even more the next time by that one sentence. Because how you hold her afterward is more important than your physical attributes when it comes to becoming an unforgettable lover. There's only one last truth to discover after you've mastered that degree of attention to detail. The deeper reason that all of this is important is for your own development as a man, not just for her enjoyment. The deeper goal of 9 is to regain your masculinity. Most men only learn this truth in their later years. Great lovers are created, not born. Additionally, they are created via self-awareness rather than performance or tricks. I have encountered men in their 60s and 70s who felt that their prime was over and that passion was a thing of the past. However, something remarkable occurred when they discovered how to slow down, pay attention, and see their partner with genuine eyes. They regained their vitality, their relationships felt fresh, their energy increased, and their confidence returned. When you gently touch her, you give her presence rather than just pleasure. It serves as a reminder that you can still use your hands, your heart, and your patience to create something lovely. You reestablish a connection with yourself with each moment you spend with her. It serves as a reminder that your identity is not determined by your age, past accomplishments, or current self. Your capacity for intense love, attentive listening, and fearless present moment awareness define you. You see, we men tend to look for results. We want evidence, a result, a response. However, the ability to make her scream isn't the true test of masculinity. It's in the amount of calm, security, and assurance you can provide her with simply by being there. Not only is her body reacting when she melts under your touch, but her trust is being restored when she later looks at you with tenderness in her eyes. And no medication, supplement, or method can ever fully replace that. Therefore, keep in mind that you're learning more than just how to please women when you put all we've discussed into practice, from planning to connecting, from patience to aftercare. You're regaining your wholeness and developing into the kind of man who leads with dignity, acts mindfully, and gives from the heart. You will realize that the greatest pleasure of all is not what you make her feel, but rather what you awaken within yourself once you realize that intimacy is about healing rather than just technique. This leads us to the last and most crucial lesson of all, the one that turns this physical act into something holy, enduring, and genuinely remarkable. 10. The last lesson. Presence is the greatest pleasure. After decades of researching men's health, I've concluded that a man's presence, not his physical attributes, is what a woman can value most. I've seen it countless times. It's not the youngest, strongest, or most experienced men who bring their partners to life. They are the ones who understand how to be present in all its fullness, patience, and focus. What transforms a simple touch into something memorable is presence. Every action slows down when you're in the moment. You begin to pay attention to her heartbeat, breathing, and how her body responds to even the slightest variation in pressure. Instead of focusing on the future, you begin to feel the present. The bond becomes stronger at that point. Her guard comes down at that point, and she experiences genuine pleasure, not just physical, but emotional. Women can sense when you're distracted by performance rather than experience, something that most men are unaware of. Instead of just being with them, they can tell when you're trying to force something to happen. Being present entails letting go of the objective. It entails realizing that her body is a song to be heard rather than a riddle to solve. Her body starts to trust yours when you're really there with her, without expectations or judgment. What remains after the walls fall down is a unique moment in which you both feel secure, liberated, and alive. She trembles because of it. Her breath catches and her eyes close as a result. It's not a method, it's focus. The lovely thing is right here. Pleasure comes naturally to those who are adept at presence. You don't pursue it anymore. It develops organically. You develop into a man who does more than just provide pleasure. You make memories, connections, and peace. Before we close, though, you must hear one more truth. For every touch, every moment of connection, every spark of rekindled passion, and everything you've learned thus far, all lead to one straightforward realization. The key to maintaining your own vitality for years to come is the same key that will make her body react. 11. The mirror effect. Her joy. I've always thought that a woman's reaction to your touch is a mirror reflecting your energy. It perfectly captures the energy you bring to the situation. I've seen innumerable men over the years memorize steps, chase technique, and still fail to capture the magic. Because your hands, no matter how good they are, can only give what your heart has. She will sense if you are tense. She will become softer if you have patience. She will close if you exert pressure on her. However, her body will open as if it has been waiting for you the entire time if you bring calm, steady energy. One of my elderly patients, a reserved man, came to me after years of being frustrated, as I recall. "I do everything correctly, Doc, but she doesn't reply," he said. "When he touches her, I want to know how he feels." After a moment, he said, "Honestly, I'm anxious. I'm making too much effort to avoid making a mistake." That was the end of it. His touch was not as loud as the strain in his body. Everything changed for him when he discovered how to unwind, breathe deeply, and move with purpose rather than effort. Months later, he informed me that it felt like she could finally feel me again, grinning. That is an example of the mirror effect. Her body responds when you approach her calmly, confidently, and with warmth that communicates, "I'm here for you." Dominance is not the point. It has to do with alignment. Her body adopts the rhythm of your enthusiasm. She feels secure when you're anchored. She responds when you are patient with her. She trusts you when you're gentle. This is the lovely truth. It does more than simply change her experience as you learn to harness that peaceful energy. It changes you. Your body unwinds. Your blood flow gets better. Your nervousness subsides. You get vitality from the same soft presence that makes her happy. It's a healing and bonding feedback loop that only gets stronger with time. Because ultimately, a man's strength and endurance aren't what make him memorable. It's his vitality, his calm, his assurance, and you'll be shocked by the next revelation once you've mastered it. It's about how this new energy starts to change every aspect of your life, not simply what takes place in the bedroom. 12. The reward that lasts a lifetime. How genuine closeness preserves your youth. When a guy rediscovers genuine closeness in his latter years, something remarkable occurs. I have repeatedly witnessed it. His stance shifts. His eyes light up. There's a quiet assurance in his voice that wasn't there before. It does more than simply awaken a woman's body when you learn to connect with her via presence, patience, and purpose. It revitalizes you. This is supported by science. When based on emotional safety, physical intimacy strengthens the heart, increases testosterone, improves circulation, and decreases blood pressure. But it's something deeper than biology. It revitalizes your soul. Robert, one of my oldest patients, was 74 years old when he first came to see me. "I thought that part of my life was over," he remarked. "However, it feels like I've regained 20 years of my life since I began to listen to you, slow down, and truly be with her. It wasn't only that our intimacy returned, his wife later told me, sobbing. He seemed to have come back. That's the benefit that no medicine can provide. You enter a younger version of yourself when you give up on performance and embrace connection. More alive, more composed, stronger. Because age isn't a factor in actual intimacy. Energy is the key. Your body reacts with vibrancy when you touch with intention. Your own hormones are triggered when you make her feel wanted. For you both, every breath, kiss, every patient moment turns into a tiny act of healing. Many men feel invisible in their latter years, thinking that passion is a thing of the past. However, it doesn't. It belongs to the man who still has the courage to show concern, who still thinks that relationships are important, and who still views his partner as a woman who should be loved rather than merely remembered. Actually, there's more to the secret you've been discovering than simply providing her shaky pleasure. It's about giving your hands, your heart, and your future new life. And after you realize that, we reach the last point, the concluding fact that connects everything. How every touch, breath, and night can become timeless with only one change of perspective. 13. The last message. Touch is a love language. Working with guys, researching relationships, and seeing innumerable changes over the years has taught me one thing that transcends all others. Performance has nothing to do with intimacy. It has to do with presence. It's not about memorizing some secret technique or mastering the ideal move. It's about letting her see you and learning to see her again. Every movement, breath, and whisper turns into a language that communicates, "I'm here." You are important. We are important. It keeps a guy young and gives a lady a sense of vitality. Let this be the one thing you remember from all I've said. Those who move the fastest or know the most tricks are not the best lovers. The ones who take their time are they, those who plan ahead, touch with intention, and remain long after the event is ended. Those who recognize that pursuing her pleasure is not an option. It is something that must be developed moment by moment with heart, trust, and focus. You now know that being prepared demonstrates respect. How her body is awakened by gradual, deliberate touch. How patience, rather than strength, affects the clitoris and inner zones. You now know how waves of pleasure that rock her to her very core are produced when internal and outward contact are in unison. Her body serves as a mirror, as you now know. She mirrors what you put to it. As you've seen, genuine connections extend beyond the bedroom. It permeates your energies, your health, and your masculine demeanor. Because the fact is that when you love her, you're also touching a precious part of yourself. You're reminding each other that passion is ageless. It gets deeper. That love is unwavering. It becomes older, and that your hands still have the ability to heal, arouse, and tell her that she is loved, regardless of their age. Therefore, don't rush tonight or whenever the time feels perfect. Don't act. Simply be present. Let your hands do the talking. Allow them to express what words cannot, because you don't simply make her scream when you've mastered the art of intentional contact. She feels seen, safe, and incredibly loved because of you. And that's the best present any man, regardless of age, can give, my friend.